Chioma,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining today. I'm really delighted to have you. Today on my show is Chioma Ogamba-Ifediata. Chioma, please pronounce your name. I don't want, yeah, Ifediata. Is
Yeah.
that the way you pronounce it? Okay. All right. So Chioma is a licensed, and that licensed in bold,
Mm.
immigration consultant. It
Mm-hmm.
is very, very imperative that we had the license to it, because this is to let you know this is not just some drive-by roadside immigration agent who is looking for cheap publicity.
Mm.
She knows her onions. She went through the process, the thorough process of becoming an immigration consultant here in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And she runs a company called Kisha Immigration, right in Calgary. But of course, she serves every province here in Canada and across the globe. Chioma also helped people get citizenship in over 20 countries in the world. No cap. This is not cloud. This is not hype. You know me on my show. I don't bring just anybody. I always do my due diligence. And, I have had some of the amazing guests, on this show. So once again, thank you so much for joining. My name is Esther Ijewere. The show is called Get Talking with Esther. And today we're talking about Canadian immigration pathways. So Chioma, my first question to you, and I can imagine because a lot of people want to come to Canada.
A lot. Yeah.
So before we go into the session, I wanted to first ask you, based on your work, how do you handle the influx of emails, demands, questions? How do you handle that with your team?
Honestly, it's a lot. I've had to intentionally delegate most of that because when messages come in, even people just give out my personal number, and I'm even running away from WhatsApp sometimes because I miss even personal messages that I should be able to attend to on there, So it's just I just bring out time in the evening when I'm done with consultations, because time difference means that in the morning for me it's already afternoon, evening in Nigeria. So whatever time we have left in common, I'm trying to fit in as much consultations as possible. And then in the evening, I'm now trying my best to respond to questions and all of that. But my team does a good job of handling inquiries when I'm sleeping during their morning and afternoon because of the time difference. So whatever that is left that comes directly to me, I handle later in the evening. So sometimes people are like, "Oh, it took a day." I have a lot on my plate. I'm still a mom and a wife to put all of that together in this abroad, So it's just taking it one day at a time and finding balance there, so that you're not just so into work that family starts looking for you and all of that. So it's just finding balance there. It's just.
Thank you very much for sharing. And I hear you on striking balance and, the power of delegation, having people who help you make the job easier, right? So what inspired you to start Kisha Immigration?
What inspired me? This story is long. You already know. So I'm going to try to cut it short a bit.
For those who don't know.
What did you say?
I said for those who don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think I'll go back to the story where I lost my dad when I was really young, because when I tried to go to the roots of this, no matter how I tried to look at it, that's actually where it started. My dad died when I was 5 going on 6. And it was a terminal illness. He probably could have been healed from it and also cured if it was handled on time and very well. With the right health infrastructure back in Nigeria, but unfortunately it wasn't. And by the time it was, we were trying to fly him abroad. Well, not me, I was a child, but my family, my uncle and everyone rallying around, the adults and all of that, they tried to get him a visa. And unfortunately, he got rejected, And so when he got rejected, they tried again. And eventually they got approved. But by the time they got approved and they had tickets booked, before the day of the flight, he passed away. So as a first child, first girl, anybody that has been in my shoes will have an idea what it is like growing up in a home where you have to support your single mom and their younger ones and all of that. And I always grew up, when I finally heard the full story, I remember telling myself that I won't be in a situation whereby I need medical attention, and if unfortunately you're in a place where you can't get it. Nigeria has improved a lot since then. This is over 20 years ago. a lot, over decades plus years, you know. And I told myself, okay, I want to be able to give myself the option to have anywhere I want to go, I can go for, even if it's just pleasure or even tourism or vacation, as well as healthcare, right? And I always told myself that growing up. And as I grew up, I saw the opportunity to leave when there was acid strike in UNN, and I did. I have spent like a couple of years or almost 3 years in UN when I left, and I studied, came back, couldn't stay back in UK because they changed their laws. They keep changing laws every time. Today they want students, tomorrow they don't want, you know. So just change it according to what applies to them. And when I went back to Nigeria, I kept remembering that childhood dream, you know. I want to have that second passport. For myself, at that point, it wasn't a business idea. It was a personal goal that I wanted for myself and to be able to help my own family for it. So in the course of helping myself, being the kind of person I am, anyone around me, if there's anything I can do to help, if I see an opportunity that will work out for you, just by default, I just tell you without you asking me, you know. That's just how I am. So because of that, when I started figuring, when I found out a way to come here as a permanent resident to Canada, I started doing, as I was doing before I even got my own, I started bringing on my colleagues and family members and all my everybody, anyone that cared to listen that was interested, I will tell you about the opportunity. And those that were interested in it, you know, the kids, some of them are here today in Canada, some of them are about to come. And eventually just became this thing where, oh, you know, a colleague say, oh, do you mind help me with this? And then they give their number to someone else. And I said, doing it for free, you know, since 2016. And eventually was like, this is taking up all my free time. You know, it's taking a lot of my time, and I enjoy doing it. Even if you don't pay me, I'll do it. You know, so I had that interest. So I was like, okay, I had this lucrative IT career, doing really well, 6-figure job. But I got to a point where I was like, I want to build a career out of this, a business out of this. I help more people because I enjoy doing it. I literally can work Sunday to Sunday on this. I have to intentionally, you know, decide, okay, I want to take time off here and all of that. So that's how it started. So it started from my personal story, doing it for myself. Thankfully, I've done it for a few family members now. I've helped clients, and now we are looking to help more and more. So that's how we got here. Yes.
Amazing. And I love the fact that you were able to build something out of your pain. You know, just sort of like the drive of your father's unfortunate passing, right? Not due to build something so remarkable. So thank you so much. It means that, I mean, I always love to hear brand stories. I tell people, your brand needs to have a story. You don't have to create a story, but I mean, if it does have a story behind it, it's relatable. So thank you for sharing that. And speaking of, you know, you being able to bring people over here, of course, that's good. That's good. And that's my second question, because a lot of people want to come to Canada. And I get a lot of messages in inbox. As a matter of fact, somebody messaged me this morning, Hadiko. I said, listen, I am not an immigration consultant. The way things work here, it doesn't work in Nigeria that way. Information, if it is wrong, not from the ideal source, I can get sued for it. So come on the show and learn from a professional. And I said, listen, don't fall into the hands of a wrong agent, which is my second question. How? Because I hear so many sub stories, so many sad. Someone still told me this morning she paid someone like 2,500 Canadian dollars and nothing happened. How do we curb this menace? How do we identify the real agents that we should talk to about immigration process to Canada?
You know, this is something that I encounter. There's no week that passes, Esther, that I don't have someone that comes for consultation or a prospect that wants to become a client that is not telling you one sub story or the other. Some have lost millions, tens of millions, lots of money, you know, and then they come in and they're like, first of all, I will have to sympathize with you because it's not me that collected the money, but it's painful to hear, you know. It's painful to hear. And I've heard it so much at any point. I'm not immune to it, but I just decided that we have to start doing more of this. The real that showing their faces more. Like, this is not my default setting, you know. In fact, Esther has been trying to bring out my feet outside for a while for this, and I'm glad they're finally having this. And this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this, so that the people will get to know, even if you don't use me at the end of the day, know how to identify the real one. Because if you have someone that is licensed, they have certain regulations that they have to meet up with. They have certain, code of conduct, code of professional ethics and all of that, that if they go beyond, can actually put their license at risk. So when you when you have that information at the back of your head, when you're talking to people, you know the right questions to ask. For example, if it's Canada, you shouldn't, a lot of people do this, but agents or anyone at all should not practice Canadian immigration without having a license. And that's why, in fact, if they are doing it, they shouldn't even be charging. And they should be able to tell you, look, I'm not licensed to do this. I'm doing it based on my own experience, because you cannot just help a family or a family member, a friend, because of you done something similar. But in this vein, Canada immigration keeps changing. The pathway I used to come here, I started doing that 2016, 2017, it's not the same anymore. Things keep changing. So if you're not working with someone that's in the field and that's what they do and that they keep themselves updated, you'll be working with old information, and there's always something coming out in the news, right? So even if you want the family member to help you, that's fine. Just make sure you yourself, you're being updated on the new things that can be done, right? Now, when it comes to someone being licensed, we have a college, like let's say a body that regulates immigration consultants, and it's called college, right? CICC. And what they do is that they make sure that anybody that is practicing in the interest of the client. Like, you're always putting the client first in decisions that you make. You're always making sure that at the end of the day that you handle it professionally, right? Because it's a profession, and we are professionals. In my previous life, I didn't mention that I was a chartered accountant. I am still a chartered accountant and all of that. And what I'm mentioning is that as accountants also they get to get their charter, right? Doctors get to get their license. Nurses get to get a license. It's the same thing with this one. And if someone has a license backing it, they cannot mess up. There are some things they cannot do and get away with it. So when you're dealing with that kind of person, even if you are hoping, this person should not mess up with me, you know that there's a check and balance somewhere that is not within your control, that they are actually paying attention to. So that's one. That's why Esther was talking about in the beginning, like license. That was how I was trying to stress that, right?
Yes.
Now, another thing is some people come up with fake job offers and give people, they just come up with something and say, oh, you got a job offer and all of that. Go and do your search online. Does that company really exist? People have been do your due diligence with what you have. Ask questions. Say if you're in Canada, almost everybody has at least one person's friend, sister's brother that is in Canada. Ask, please, is there a way we can confirm this company is genuine before I give anything, before I even get to that point. Make sure I don't even give any money. You shouldn't be at that point paying for someone to give you a job unless they are helping you search for the job, which some people do, right? So you have to be very, very, very careful. Then there are some pathways that people just manufacture that don't exist. And you'll now see that it doesn't exist. Can you see it on the Canada website? Canada website is canada.ca. If you Google and type that name of the pathway and put Canada.ca, does it show on the Canadian government website? If it doesn't, there's a mark there. The list is long. Some people will tell you, I can guarantee you visa, just pay me. Now, they might end up helping you and getting that visa, but it's not proper for them to guarantee you visa. Why? It's only the government of Canada that has the final decision on whether you get that visa or not. Even us can guarantee you visa. It's against our ethics to do so. We will just tell you, we will put our best efforts to make sure you have a strong application, and we'll show you what our success rate is when it comes to getting it done. But nobody should be able to guarantee you. You don't see the visa on the officer anywhere. So the ones that make that final decision, anyway, that's guaranteeing you visa, that is how you know that they're fake. Because someone that has a license, they say that. If they say it, then something is wrong. Maybe their ethics is suspect somewhere. But they shouldn't say that, So, okay, the last thing I'm going to add is some of them some of them are very good at marketing and sales. The good people, I'm seeing that most of my colleagues, or not say most of them, some of us are so good at what we do that we might not be very great at marketing and sales and public relations. But so the fake agents, they are masters of it. They know what you want to hear. As they're talking to you, they know the kind of things that they know. If you say the way you react, if it's a phone conversation, just the way your face changes. I know communication is not just what you say, it's the way your looks and the way your body language. So when I think there's something, they'll say, this is the kind of thing person wants to hear, they'll tell you. And then, that's what kind of, let me give you a quick example. This is my last point. Give a quick example. We do business immigration. So had a particular prospect that came and was interested in business immigration. They saw all kinds of things you hear out there about that. There are different pathways for business immigration anyway. And he was so particular that he wanted a particular way where he's sure that he won't do anything in the business and he just getting dividends. And that's when I knew that this guy has gone to shop around. Because first of all, there's no, if Canada is bringing you in, they're coming to contribute something. The pathway that they have is, apart from family reunification, when you have a house here and you're coming to join your spouse, at that point they're not really looking at, are you coming to study, contribute, or are you coming to work, or are you coming as a speaker, or are you coming to do, apart from family, almost every pathway is looking at what are you bringing to this country, what are you, right? So when someone says that, you're going to start a business and you're not going to work on that business at all, you just put your money and they want to be giving dividends, go and do stock exchange or something. Go and find a way to invest in stocks. That's how you do that. And it might not give you PR, but you have your stocks. If you want to get PR, there's something you have to be showing that you can do for the country, that you can contribute to it. And so, like, this is very good financially. I know I'm a chartered accountant, but what we are talking about here is immigration, right? And when immigration, and when you want to do get a PR, you have to be able to show that you can work on that business. In fact, there are some pathways that they will give you only work permits for 1 year. You work on that business for that 1 year, show that you can improve that business. You've done something to, like, sometimes you have performance requirements that you have to meet. Then when you now meet it, you now get your PR. Some pathways you can just apply for your PR straight, but you have to show that you're doing something on the business. But it's no passive income to getting PR. So agents have good, and they know how to twist the real stories to something that the client wants to hear. And they will not tell you that. And then you now come to the real person and they say, I'm sorry, I can't even collect any money you want to pay me because that pathway doesn't exist. So what they're telling you is what you want to hear. I can't tell you what you want to hear because I'm just going to tell you what exists for sure. I can tell you what you want to hear and you pay me that money. But eventually down the line, you realize that that is not what it is. And I can't do that. So those are the ways to and a quick example there.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing those examples. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure that a lot of the audience do appreciate that. So you've heard from a licensed agent here, ask the right questions, do your due diligence. Listen, if you want something, you should put in the work as well. So if somebody is telling you, you want to come school here, have you gone online to check the school yourself? Are they really, is the scholarship real from this school? Or is this person trying to get money from you, right? There are people who are also specialists in scholarships and all that. Follow them, right? Get the right information. Follow the right people, right? Chioma is also, she tilts more into the business immigration, like she broke it down. So if you are an entrepreneur, you have a successful business in Nigeria, and you can show your rates of performance, like she said. I mean, she can't guarantee you the visa, but she and the team would put in the effort, right? So thank you so much for that clarification, Chioma. And so speaking of the pathways, the question that I've been getting since I posted about this, we need to know those pathways. So what are the pathways, the recent Canadian immigration pathways available for people right now?
So I don't know if you have enough time to go into all of them because the last we counted, we had over 90 to go over, but I can group them.
The top ones.
It's a lot, yeah.
That is relevant to a lot of Nigerians.
Yes, I'll group them. So I'll start with the most popular, even though, I'll start with the most popular. You already mentioned study. Study that people go through if maybe the PR express and they didn't improve for so long and express entry for them and all of that. And for those that don't know, express entry is is a path, not really a pathway, it's a way of picking skilled workers, even trades and skilled traders and all of that, based on people that have skilled trades rather, based on what you have and what you can contribute, like I mentioned before. So most people say, I don't have time to wait for that anymore. Let me just go for the study pathway. Maybe they come here to do their masters, or they come here for a diploma. Or even a PhD, it just depends on where they are. Some even come for PS if they haven't done any. But choosing the right one, is matters because the program you choose, what your background is, matters when you're applying for your visa. The visa officer will check all of that. But apart from study, which is really common, there's also, when you're looking at coming here, there's a pathway for work permits or PR. Now I'll talk for work permits. For work permit, it falls under, sometimes you might be lucky, it's not exactly very popular, but it might be lucky, you know. It's so I've helped some people that are in IT. Yeah, you can get jobs and you get a work permit from a company and they'll bring you in, right? But it's not the most popular. But if you're in IT, there's a chance of finding something like that for you. Then when it comes to work permit again, there's the caregiver pathway. Right now, it's closed for 2023. That one, the story is interesting. Last year, it was open for just 17 days. This year, it was open for just 3 hours. Three hours.
Whoa.
Yes, 3 hours. And next year, we don't even know if we're going to be able to have enough time to even put in one application. Some people had like 10 applications or 8, and they could only put in 1 or 2, you know. So that one is is a very good one. If they've even reduced the requirement recently from 2 years, when you come here, work permit, normally it's 2 years to get PR, but now they 1 year. So if you know someone here that's looking for someone that will help them with their kids and all of that, you can start. In fact, even though it's closed for this year, most people actually work on it the year before it opens again. So usually opens January 1. So for next year, 2024, if you can start working on it now to get all the requirements and all your documents ready. So that January 1, there's no Happy New Year. Just carry your laptop, and whoever that's going to help you with it just gets it done immediately they open it. Because that was what happened January 1 this year. I don't know if they're going to increase the quota. We are hoping that they do, and we are pushing for that, but we don't know if they're going to increase the quota yet. So that's a very good one. That's not so common. Then the job offer one I was mentioning, that you get work permit, there's also the pathway where the provincial nomination programs. Some provinces have occupations in high demand. That they are, for that one to work, you need to be in the pool. You need to have done your English exam, and you know, you have to have gotten yourself in the pool. You have to have a profile there, and you have to be able to know the occupations in demand, because those occupations in demand for every province has their own list and it changes. But there are provinces that favor people that have siblings. For example, Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, those 2 provinces, if you have a sister or brother there, you know, you have to go and look at what the requirements are, because the chances of you getting invited because you have family ties there is quite high. Alberta announced in January that they were going to be, you know, picking people from the pool that had ties here, and we are lucky to have a client that got that. So that's one of the that is quite easy, and one of the newer ones right now for Alberta specifically. Then in Alberta, there's something they call the accelerated tech pathway. So this is an particular pathway now Alberta that you have similar ones in other provinces. So basically, what that pathway means, that if you get a job offer in that province, you get extra points, and then you're able to get the nomination in the province, and from there your score will be so high, because nomination is actually 200 points. Your score will be so high that any invitation to apply or cutoff that are doing the next, you know, you most likely make the cutoff. So those are the ones that quickly come to mind. And then the last one, which I already mentioned a bit before, was business immigration pathway. So it's either maybe you want to start up a new business, that one can lead you to a permanent residence, or you want to open a branch of an existing business in Canada. So maybe you have an existing somewhere else and you want to open a branch of it here. That's another way. That one will lead to work permits. And then the third one is if you want to buy a business that's existing in Canada. So maybe a franchise, or like, it just depends. So if you have maybe let me give you an example. You might have a retired couple that have a business together and they want to just go sell the business and travel the world and enjoy their retirement. And they're all that to you. If they sell it to you, that particular pathway, through that you get a work permit. But you also have to make sure that when you're doing anything work permits, make sure that you look at how do I get my PR? What pathway will lead me to getting my PR? You think about the end from the beginning, so that you can make sure that you connect those dots before you come here as a work permit. If not, you're not be able to stay, because work permit is temporary residence. PR is permanent residence, right? And after PR, the next thing you're just talking about is your citizenship. Yeah. So
amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, like you guys, like you heard her, let me just break it up for you. There are different pathways. You need to know which one resonates with you. And I think that information is so powerful, because a lot of people land in the hands of wrong agents because they don't even know the why. Why do I want to relocate? Are you coming here to study? Am I relocating with my family because I want to work? Do I need a permanent residency? You know, you need to know your why first. So if you are reaching out to someone like Chioma, she's not the one, she does not even know your background. So you need to have clarity on your own to say, okay, these are the options that I'm looking at, right? Which one do you think would suit me at this time? And then for business, which I feel people should really key into, if you have an existing business, they need a lot of Nigerian stores here, for example. If you or somebody you know, they have a business thriving in Nigeria, they can potentially bring that business here and get a permanent residency in Canada because of that. I hope that I coined that very well, Chioma.
Yeah.
So, so I just wanted to let you guys know some of these options that are available to you. Now, Chioma, let us get to know you, because a lot of people will be wondering, like, okay, this woman that is just turning out all these powerful nuggets and all that, who is she, right? So give us an insight into your own immigration journey to Canada.
My immigration journey. Okay. So if you are here from the beginning, you have already said a bit of it. Yes. So I'll just continue from where I actually started in Canada. So if you didn't hear that, when she gets recorded, that watch it from the beginning, you get the whole gist. But in I think it was 2011 or 12, I've always been looking to come to Canada for a second degree. So I remember telling almost anybody that cared to listen around me that I want to do my master's in Canada. I want to do my master's in Canada. In fact, I had I don't even have any admissions, Esther. I don't know if it's like 3 or 4 admissions that I did not go through. I can get admission, but somehow it won't work out, you know. So eventually I was like, okay, let me this is a friend of mine I told her, she was also a colleague at the time, we became friends at that time, and I mentioned it to her. And then, you know, she was like, I'm not even keen on going into Canada, you know, I want to stay in Nigeria. But somehow she had her sister talk about a friend of hers that was going to Canada. So her sister told her, she said, this is my friend that was saying that she wants to go to Canada. Oh, this express entry thing started in 2015. And I heard about it in 2016. So at that time, a lot of people did not know about it like that. You know, most people were not, it was still new, let's put it that way. So I just needed one person to tell me that I knew somebody that was doing it or that has done it. And that's okay for me, you know. And I was like, okay, as a person is giving your sister the gist and your sister is giving you, please give me, you know. And that was how I started the process. I started the English exam and all of that. I applied in 2017. I got my, and then I added, I think I was dating my husband at the time. We were engaged. And actually, funny enough, it's going to be like 5 years on Valentine's Day next week, Esther. 5 years, 5 years ago on Valentine's Day. No, 5 years. This is what, Esther? Today is 11th. Okay.
Today is 11th.
5 years on the 12th of February, which is tomorrow. I submitted my husband's application to add to mine, saying, oh, I'm not married. While you're working on my PR application, this is my husband. My husband's own and all of that. And on Valentine's Day, 2 days later, Esther, they approved this thing. They approved it. It was like a joke. Like, I didn't even believe it. It was like a miracle. And that was how we got our PR. You know, months later, we did, because we had done our court at that time. We did our white and came, you know, in 2018. And now, you know, thankfully, we are citizens. Our son was born here. He's also a citizen. So that has been my own journey coming to Canada. And it's been a good one. God has been really faithful. Very, yes.
Amazing. And you know, just for those who are out there, I know you said God has been really faithful. What are some of the culture shock that you had when you came to Canada? Right? What are some of those? You know, integrating into the system can be a daunting task. I spoke with a younger sister who relocated, and she just had a baby, and she doesn't have any support here. No family, nobody. She lives somewhere in North York. She's all by herself. And I said, listen, it is not easy. Here, if you don't have family here, nobody gives 2 hoots about it. Like, you need to learn how to beat your baby. So I want to ask you, everybody's journey is different. That's one thing. And I'm saying that to everybody listening. So this is Chioma's journey. It is hers, and she owns it, and we're grateful for that. Know that your journey might be different, right? So don't go and approach her and say, I heard you you are now a citizen. How can I become a citizen? No, 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 no. It does not work that way. I'm saying this now. So please tell us the culture shock, integration into the system. How did you navigate it?
Esther, you're bringing up memories. It's not been a rosy all through. You know,
Exactly.
I tried to 5 years. You know, but let's go into the nitty gritty. Let's be real right now. Yeah. So I came in June 2018. We start from the funny and the irrelevant to the stuff. It was summer. And yeah, summer June 2018, and we came in and we were shivering. You know, imagine from Nigeria. You know, even though I have been in UK and I've experienced their winter, UK winter, Canada winter is not the same thing. You know, so when we came here, we are wearing jackets and we are so cold. Our friends are laughing at us. What's wrong with this one? And like, this thing also, we are coming from the tropical, you know, and that was yeah. But now, you know, even during winter, I can actually wear whatever it is. I don't even wear gloves anymore. I've gotten so used to very harsh cold weather, but it can be really tasking for the first 1 or 2 years, especially if you're still using transport around, depending on where you stay. It just gets a bit easier when you start driving around, you know, because you can just run from one way away to your car, you know. But if you have to wait for, I had those days. It's not funny. It can, and if you now miss your bus, I'm sorry for you, because you now be calculating. Now depends on where you are. Is it going to take you 1 hour to another bus to come, or is it 15 minutes, or is it 10 minutes? It just depends. But it can be really, really cold. But if you dress very well and you dress properly and you have the right gear, you'll be fine. But don't feel shy to go into a place to warm up a bit, like a coffee shop or something, while you're waiting for the bus you missed. If you missed the bus and it's going to take you a while, don't stay outside and kill yourself if you could, you know. So that's one. That was number one culture shock we had. Then that support system you mentioned is so key. It's so key. When I had my son, it was during COVID, during Corona like season, like June 2020, it was still thick like this. My mom could barely even come to this. The plan was for my mom to come around May 2020, but you know how they shut down the borders and all of that, so she couldn't even come in as soon as. So it was for the first 6 weeks I was alone with my husband with a new baby. I've never carried a new baby before like that. I did not even know where to start from. We had to start figuring it out. We are bathing one tiny human being. Both of us are doing it together before the baby will just slip out of our hands. You know? So having a supportive spouse here is important. And if you're doing it alone, may God give you the grace, because you need grace to do it. It's not easy. It's not easy. Anyone that says this is not true, it's not easy. At that point in time, if you can make friends, you know, if you have community around you, yes, they might not always have your time, but even if it's 1 hour or 2 hours, like this might help, maybe even sleep or just help me with laundry or something. If you can afford to get a nanny, please do. Even if it's just 2 hours a week or whatever it is that they'll come and relieve you, they just get it to have your son. You know, you'll find ways to cope around it, but it can be really difficult. And that's why I intentionally started making sure that I started trying to get my siblings here even before I left Nigeria, as I was working on mine. So thankfully I have one of my sisters here. So right now I'm having this live session. If it was just me and my son in the house, this phone would have flung to one corner. You know, I want to touch it. You know, but he's with my sister right now. She's like my support system here. She helps. So if you can get your family member over, I mean, I mentioned caregiver before. It might not be your family member. It might be someone, you know, that you can hire that can actually have that experience who might help here. But just making friends is important. If you're the kind of person that doesn't make friends and you come here, it's really hard though. If you don't even know how to make, start trying, smile. Hello, you know, if someone takes you somewhere and say, come for dinner, try and go. Just make an effort. Funny enough, that's even how I met Esther. I think we just went for something and a mutual friend introduced us.
Exactly.
And that's
for an event.
Yes.
And that's true. You know, with support system, you know, just to add to what you said, you know, what for my own story, I feel that the culture shock sometimes could also tilt or tweak a person's persona. So if you are the happy-go-lucky person, that's the way I was. I was like the happy-go-lucky life of the party person in Nigeria. But when I came here, and I'm like alone with 2 children, no family. Now I'm in between. I'm a bit of an introvert because the culture shocks sometimes we just want you to focus on your focus in that moment. Like, you know what? It's just walk my children, take them to school, come back. You're trying to navigate, but then it does not mean you won't give your time the opportunity to network, to connect, to meet people, right? And like Chioma said, family is important. If your family is here, be grateful.
Mm-hmm.
If you have them around you before you come in, please know they don't owe you anything.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever support they're able to give to you, it's not Nigeria
Mm-hmm.
where people are paid
Mm-hmm.
monthly. People are paid hourly
Mm-hmm.
here. So if somebody is able to stay with your children, even if it's a friend, acknowledge the fact that they're trying to support you and take one heap of problem away from you. So thank you so much for, for sharing. I just needed to, chip that in to let people know that it's not, the road is smooth. We say that positively, but the truth is there are bumps on the road.
Yeah.
When you come into a new country, the culture shock for you might even be the English, right? The pronunciation, like you want to talk and someone's like, sorry, I can't hear you. And you're like, but it is what it is. You're going to navigate it. So, Chioma, what is the process, when we say, for example, I approach, Kisha Immigration right now to say, I need your services. What is a consultation process with Kisha Immigration? How does it work for those who might want to reach out to you?
So right now, if you go on our website, you're going to see when you just go to the homepage and scroll down a bit, you see Canada. When you click on that, you see the difference in consultations, and just take any one that applies to you. If you're not sure, click that's the general one, and when you come in, we'll figure out what would work best for you. So you pay for that way, and we'll chat. If you have any questions, you can actually chat with someone on the website. We have a chat box there. Or you can actually chat with us on Instagram here. Our immigration handle, the Kisha Immigration handle. When you send a message there, we'll be able to answer your questions at least within 24 hours as soon as we can.
Yeah. So Kisha Immigration, I've just written that out.
Yes.
Follow them. Please, I don't do immigration. And I'm saying this, I'm saying this live because I know folks might come to me. I'm not going to respond to such messages. If you have immigration questions, direct it to Chioma. Please, everybody needs to know their part. If you have questions about media, PR, public relations, how to get more visible, we can talk, right? So here you are trained to focus on your niche and don't move away from your niche and assume a role that you're not, because you can be penalized for that, right? So somebody asked a question, from, my platform here, inbox, and said, what if, they want to come in as a caregiver and they don't have any experience before? So the caregivers, do they need any experience before they can come to Canada?
So it would be good if you have experience, even if it's volunteering experience and it wasn't paid experience. So, but one thing about that pathway is that if you have volunteering experience, let's say you used to nanny for your sister or your auntie or something, and then there are also some organizations back in Nigeria. I can't remember any at the top of my head right now.
Oh, your voice is muted, Chioma. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
That actually train people for care, like the caregiver, like, nannies, like give you, and that will help your application as well. So if you're that experience now, you have from now till, like, you have time from now for the whole of the year, if that's what you want to do. What matters is finding that employer here in Canada that is willing to give you that job. And that's what matters.
Yeah, that's what matters. That's what matters.
Very good within your network.
Yeah, amazing. And there's another question here in our email. Someone is talking about farming. Yeah, I don't know about that. It says that our brother is a farmer somewhere in Ogun State, and that, he's been into farming for many years, and she heard there's a pathway for farmers to come here.
Yes, there's a pathway for farmers to come here, 100%. In fact, even in Alberta specifically, I know that there's a pathway for farmers. So it all depends on, it's not every province that has that. Is and what the requirements of the program is. So you can have your brother contact us, or you can contact us on his behalf or whatever, if you have his profile, and we can look into it. But yes, it does exist. That one is real. That one.
Amazing. So you can see the confidence at the end of that. You can have your brother contact us. That is the confidence of somebody that knows their job. You see? Exactly. It is not my thing. So Right? It is not my thing. So, Chioma, for students, because I just want us to talk very briefly on that. There are students who are also on the platform today, who want to come to Canada, right? I know Kisha is basically, you guys are focused more on the business immigration and other parts of immigration. You do some scholarship as well. So please just touch on that. For students who want to come here, what are the pathways open to students at this time?
So at this time, if you want to come to Canada, you can actually, if you want to come through the study pathway, you can, we can help you with admissions. So if let's say, let's start from the basic of someone in secondary school. So if you're in secondary school, and let's say you're in SS1, you can come here and finish your secondary school, even though it's called high school here. If you finish secondary school and you have your WAEC, we can help you come here and do your bachelor's. If you have a bachelor's and you want to come here and do your PGD, or you want to because PGD is usually cheaper, that's why I mentioned that first. And it's not looked down on the way we see OND and HND back home. Anybody here, if it's 1 year, it's valuable to the Canadian economy and the employers. Let's put it like Canadian employers. So PGD or masters, if you already have a masters, it's a bit tricky. So you have to be sure that if you want to do a second masters, it makes sense. The reason why you want to do second masters, you cannot do second masters in the same thing you've already done before. So that one, you need to know what you're doing there, because it's not that straightforward. So yeah, those are the parties. Now, when you finish getting your masters, depending on what your work experience is before you came. If you have, this is for people that we are working, or if you've been working already and then you now want to come on a program or something, the work experience you have before can actually aid you in getting your PR faster than someone that's coming from high school to this place.
Amazing.
So Canadian education you get will give you higher points. The Canadian work experience you get will give you higher points. In fact, if you play your cards right and you know what you're doing, you can even get a PR while you're a student if you understand what you do. So yes, so those are the different pathways, and there are certain provinces that favor students to go into that PR pathway faster by giving and all of that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a question. Yeah, so the study gap of 12 years matters for student pathway. So for those who have questions, please type your questions out here. You can send it to me or Chioma privately as well. So Chioma, please answer this. The study gap of 12 years matters for student pathway.
It matters. I won't lie to you, my dear. It matters. It's a long gap, but there has to be, if you find a way to be able to explain what you are doing during that period, what you studied the first time, and what you want to come and study, if it ties in and it makes sense, there's a chance. The thing is that nobody can. I've learned to not say this is not possible, especially if it's a pathway, unless it's a fake pathway. But if it's a pathway that exists, I've learned to say it's not possible. There's this case I had that we submitted end of last year. Very difficult. She insisted, that she wanted to do it. She wanted to have come in her children and her husband and all of that. And it's not like it's impossible, but the situation and the resources we had, it wasn't such I knew that if it was going to happen, it was going to be a case of God doing it, period. And I just said, okay, you know what? My team and I just said, let's just go ahead and submit this. We went ahead, submitted it, and she got approved. She got approved. And she told me, Chioma, I'm sure that she knows it's a miracle. In fact, when I saw it, when she told me, when we saw that and confirmed that she had gotten it, the first thing I said was, I prayed for this. Because I pray for my clients as a standard. Every time, every day, I pray for my clients. And that is an element where even after we have done our part and you do to the God will now take it, do the remaining, So there's some times when, if you don't listen to the consultant and you do some things I'm telling you not to do, you might not work out. Because those are issues out when clients are being very heady about certain things, and I've gotten to a point where I'm like, if you don't listen to me, that I won't even take you on anyway. That's what I've decided for this year. But generally speaking, there are some situations where it might look like in the eye of man it might not work. But when you put in the effort and God comes through for those cases sometimes, and that's when you now say, oh, most times it doesn't work out, but there's always that percentage I'd like to say, let's try,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's a question again on the screen for students who have WAEC already. What's the total package one should be looking and planning as financial aspects? So I think she's trying to say, for a person who has just WAEC, what is the financial implication for that?
So if you have just WAEC, it depends on where you want to come and study. So the range of school fees here, and again, I said range or keyword on range, is usually between 15 to 25,000. You can see cheaper than 15,000. You can see more expensive than 25,000. It's just an average, basically. And if you just finish your WAEC, it now depends. Okay, does the person want to just do a diploma of 2 years, or do they want to do a bachelor's of 4 years? So it now depends on what your budget is. Either one you choose is not a problem. Just make sure you go according to what you can show that you can afford.
Mm.
Yeah, very important. Finances is one of the reasons why people get rejected a lot. Finance, a lot. Yeah.
I hope that answers your question, Queen. Exemption and such. And if you have any more questions, of course you can reach out to Kisha Immigration for that. So what province, if you were going to advise someone just before we round up, right? What province for a person who is just starting life, a person who might have a little bit of problem navigating culture shock, what province would you recommend to say, you know what, for these issues that maybe this province would be better for you to start your life first, for you to get to know the Canadian system. So what province would you recommend?
Is it at that point, have they gotten their papers, or they want to get their papers?
They want to get their papers. I know you stay in Calgary, and you.
I'm biased with Calgary because a lot of Nigerians are here. but there are also other provinces where you have Nigerians too.
Yes.
But it's not even just about Nigerians, to be honest. For me, I prioritize getting your PR to citizenship to where Nigerians are. Right? Because at the end of the day, what you really want is to get your papers. That's why I asked that question. Is it before or after? So province, okay, I'll give you a good example of a province that I like right now, and it's not Alberta. It's New Brunswick. New Brunswick is a friendly province right now. There are different pathways where they tend to be more open to give provincial nominations, and they're a bit more open in the way they do things, and they are looking to attract more people. Wow. It's also the only bilingual province in Canada right now. So if someone wants, I've gone from not knowing anybody there to knowing like at least 5 to 7 families. I can easily just, if I go there now, I have places to go and visit, because so it's one of the good provinces right now. If you don't have any pathway yet, or you're trying to choose a school, that's one of my, it's not the only option, but that's one of my favorites at the moment. Yeah.
I don't know, your voice went down. Maybe there's a
call. It did? Oh, okay. I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. New Brunswick. To think that I have a brother there who moved there recently, a family friend. So I can imagine, same for the cold. And there's no that is not cold in Canada. Maybe Vancouver.
No, Vancouver is not that cold.
It's not as cold as other places.
As cold as Alberta too. Yeah, it's not as cold as Alberta. If you're trying to avoid cold, Vancouver, British Columbia, but I've had people stay there and they're like, you hardly see a lot of black people there, you just see Chinese everywhere and all of that.
You gotta choose something.
Yeah. Your pros and cons, your choice you go for.
Exactly. Same thing I told someone. I said, listen, you got to choose one thing. So if you say, oh, you don't want to go to this province, the thing is, every province has something that is unique to them. So it's either you want to move to a place where you can't find a lot of black people, but you focus on your focus because, of course, the cost of living there is cheaper than, say, someone who is living in Toronto or someone who's living in Ottawa, right? So you've got to choose what works for you, but you can't keep running from everything. No, I don't want to go. What do you
No, you can't run away from this. Let's just establish that. But one thing I would say is anyone that is business oriented, like really business, deeply rooted in, most likely would like Ontario. Right? Most of my business clients, they like Ontario, unless they have family in other places and all of that. So it just depends. It's not something that there's no it depends on what you're coming to do and what your profile might make me give a different answer. So just
I agree. So one last question from the audience email. Someone said that how much do you need to have if you want to set up a business? So if you want to get permanent residency, I believe, you know, in Canada and you want to come set up a business here, what's the financial implication? How much do you need to have?
Okay, so I would for this one, because there are different ways for that, and there are some
Mhm.
ways I cannot start going back and forth on this. I would highly recommend you just contact us for business immigration. For this month, we are not charging for consultation. Just contact us if you're interested in the business. We'll have a chat with you, and we'll be able to give you that information, because there are questions we'll have to ask you to determine what will work best for you. And if
Exactly.
contacting us, we should have been saying this throughout the call, but you know, if throughout the session, if you're contacting us, make sure to mention that you're coming from Esther. There will be something for you.
Yeah, so for you
Just
to get
what?
good treatment,
Yeah.
right? They treat everybody well though, but I mean, it's very paramount. Let me just say that, you know, if you do mention that you're from me, right? So in some way, it might also fast track the process of you just being, you know, having Chioma presence, for example, or any member of our team. So when you're coming in, just say, oh, you're from Esther. And, you know, I think that would, you know, definitely just sort of like keep that connection going. And then there could be a back and forth to say, oh, Esther, I've gotten my visa. We can even help you post your review or your testimony without mentioning your name online. Because, you know, for me, when I refer people like that, or when people mention my name, the joy is, you know, they circle back to say, oh my God,
It worked.
I've gotten it. It worked. So Chioma, I've never had any complaint from anyone. I've recommended people to Chioma, and no one has come back to say, well, they didn't attend to me. Well, customer service is 100. Believe me, she's always available. If there are issues to handle, she would personally reach out to you herself and handle it. You know, and of course, they don't give you sugarcoat anything. They're going to let you know what works for you. So please go with an open mind, that what you had intended might actually be something else that, you know, you will meet with them, because they are professionals and they know better. So Chioma, thank you so very much for your time. For those who are not, you know, able to join us early, I'd say watch this recap on my YouTube channel, Esther Ijewere 4. I am going to add, you know, Chioma's contact, that's the Kisha Immigration, in the description as well. So you guys can reach out to them, you know, like she said, just say you're from Esther, and then we see how that goes. And I wish everybody all the best. All of you in my inbox, I want to come to Canada. I want to come to Canada. I brought information to you now. So use the information. You know, we can't talk about everything. Like she said, over 90 pathways. We can't talk about everything. That is why consultations are very important. So you reach out to say, I need consultation. You book one, they talk you through, they walk you through the path, and then you make a decision on what you want. So, Chioma, any last word, you know, for people who are back home? We know how the economy is. I always have my guests do that. A bit of humanity, let's just pray it into the air. You know, for those back home who perhaps want to come to Canada right now, but the economy won't permit them. You know, what do you have for them?
Can you hear me? Another call was okay. So yeah,
Yes.
It's really tough, and don't think that because I'm, you know, talking about it, I can help you come to Canada and I'm in Canada now, and you think I never had issues to get it. They lie. You know, there was a time when I was planning it and I didn't have enough funds to make it go through for years. So it's a huge project. But one thing I'm just going to say is, as long as you're trying to get the right information, try to get family to support you if possible. But at the same time, hold on to God. Honestly, no other advice I'm going to give you beyond that when it comes to things looking uncertain. Because one of the things that have brought me this far is there are some things in my life that shouldn't have worked out. And I know that it didn't work out because I was so smart, or because, I had this support of, no, I knew that it was just God's hand. And I know going out of the logical now, and so people say I'm going spiritual now. It is honestly the truth. That is how I cannot say my story. So I mean, see if you don't have money, see if you can get the one for scholarship. If you don't have, if you cannot, as you're looking for scholarship, see if you can write your IELTS and be in the pool. So if any opportunity comes up and they are looking for someone that has your skills, you're there to be chosen. You know, just be ready, be prepared. Talk to people. If you're open to the caregiver one, just start having those conversations now. See if anyone is going to be willing to, you know, employ you for that. You know, just have different options open. You know, it might not happen immediately. My Canada dream happened about 6 years from when I started thinking I really wanted to do it. It didn't happen the year after, 2 years after. No, 6 good years. Every December, I'll say, this December will be my white Christmas December. Every December, one will come and go. 2, 3, 4, 5, until it finally came, right? So it's something that if you have it as a dream, hold on to it. Eventually, you know, hopefully everything works out. And I'm hoping we'll be able to help you through that process as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and you're welcome Sunday at Bisoye Day. You know, like I said, you know, reach out to, you know, Chioma, Kisha Immigration, tell them you're from Esther. If you join the session, right, another way to just, you know, I'll nudge them to respond, let them know you joined the session, Esther's session, and that you want to, you know, you're coming in for inquiry. And of course, I wish you all the best. Chioma is not a magic performer. So Kisha Immigration is a company. They're doing the job. They'll make sure you get the best services. But however, I encourage you to have a positive mindset as well, right? Don't go there with this mindset of the bad stories you've heard from other agents, right? Just trust in the process that, okay, this is going to work out. So I wish you all the best. Once again, this video is going to be on my YouTube channel, Esther Ijewere 4. Follow me. If you want to watch it, you can send it to your friends and family. And of course, I wish you a beautiful weekend. Have a good one. God bless you. Once again, thank you, Chioma.
Thank you.
And I wish you and your beautiful family a beautiful weekend.
Yes.
Bye, everyone, and take care of yourself. Bye.
Bye.